Remember when the R36S hit the market, and how afterwards there were basically a million variants of it? Well, 2 months ago I came across this. The MyMini, which is also being marketed as the R36 Mini, another handheld in the sea that is the Rockchip RK3326. Is it any good and worth a slight premium for the size? Well, let me shine some light on this device to answer that question. First of all, what do you get in the box when you buy the MyMini? In my case, I got the MyMini itself, a 64GB microSD card, a case which includes the foam, a USB-C cable, the manual, and a plastic screen protector. When it comes to the specs, I want to first cover the size, as it's literally in the name. With its dimensions of 113 by 82 by 24 millimeters, it slots in perfectly in between the RG35XX Plus and the Miyoo Mini Plus. Other than that, the MyMini comes in at 176 grams and offers the following specs: a 4x3 3.5 inch 480p IPS screen, a 4000 mAh removable battery, which is slightly too small for the housing by the way, the Rockchip RK3326, 1GB of RAM, 2 microSD card slots, and 2 USB-C slots, and a headphone jack. All in all, it's a pretty standard set of features for an RK3326 based device. The only standout is the center Hall effect joystick, which reminds one of the Nintendo 64 layout. Speaking of the sticks, how does everything feel to use? The stick itself is just a standard Switch stick, so it feels alright. I don't hate the Switch sticks, but I feel that even the original ones feel a bit bumpy when you don't move them around and not smooth. The buttons are on the stiffer side, whilst the D-pad is stiff and mushy at the same time. Also, the buttons feel a bit tall for its size. They should shave off around 2 millimeters in my opinion. And as for the triggers, they are nothing too special. They have the same stair-step design as most of these devices. Lots of negatives here, but I do like the layout and wish that some others would adapt it. Also, the screen on these is pretty good, and no other handheld has an excuse not to use anything of lesser quality. The RK3326 is quite well known at this point when it comes to its performance. You won't have any problems when it comes up to and including Gen 4, and then you will have some mixed results with Gen 5, so Nintendo 64 and PS1 and Dreamcast. That being said, I feel like especially the Nintendo 64 implementation is pretty bad on the MyMini. The only core that runs decent enough makes the games look like shit. When it comes to alternative OSs, there aren't that many options, and most seem to have been abandoned after they came out. While the RK3326 is well understood and supported at this point, the devices themselves are often hit or miss. That being said, I found a thread where somebody modified Rocknix to run on the MyMini, so I tested to see if it ran any better. And in the end, it did, just slightly though, so I don't think it's worth switching over. Next up is a sound test. As for the sound, the face buttons aren't that bad, start and select are a bit loud, But just like with the R36S, I think that the shoulder buttons are the worst ones. They are loud and kind of echoey, which makes them not the best to use in a quiet room. In conclusion, the MyMini is interesting, but that's about it. If you don't care for the size, then I would say it makes more sense to go with something like the R36S or the G350. And if you want a smaller handheld, then I'd say pay the premium and go with a Miyoo Mini or an RG35XX. In both cases, you will benefit from an overall better supported device, which is in my opinion one of the more important aspects. But nonetheless, if you want to check it out, I'll leave some links in the description down below.